Good morning, everyone, and I do hope you're keeping very well and able to enjoy this beautiful day when we're filming. I know that some of the folks who've been shielding all this time are now, I think, allowed to go out for a short bit of exercise, so I do hope you can do that, and what a wonderful thing it will be to get some fresh air after all this time. I'm very lucky because this weekend my wee grandson, now aged 14 weeks, is being able to come over with his mum and dad to see his granddad. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's amazing, isn't it, that this is midsummer. Who would imagine that we'd still be in any state of emergency by midsummer? But here we are, and what a wonderful bit of weather we've been having, which I think has buoyed people up. The other thing I'd like to mention just before we go on is the tremendous work that John and his team have put into decorating the church. Every conceivable bit they've been able to get to has been scraped and painted and brushed and everything, and the whole place is looking just fantastic on the outside to be able to welcome people in eventually. Even doors like this one here on the northeast side of the church, which nobody ever sees at all, but it's been beautifully painted and the studs taken out and put back in again when painted, and the whole place is looking just fantastic. So well done to John. Well, if Midsummer and all the volunteers' work fills my heart with happiness, so I think does a lot of life as well. Just the other day, as I was coming out of the house onto Cambridge Street, what did I see but a wee red squirrel hopping across the road. Now, Cambridge Street is right in the middle of the town, so that was quite a thing to see, and how beautiful that little creature was. I have to say, there was a bit of a contrast as I drove down to Meagle. I got in my car and drove down to Meagle, so 4 minutes later, I was just through the Five Roads roundabout. And I'm sorry to say there was a particularly obvious and bad bit of fly tipping beside the road. It looked to me like a whole bed had been just dumped there. What a shame. On the one hand, good thoughts about the squirrel. On the other hand, that was a real shame, wasn't it? I guess that's life, and you get the good with the bad, but it made me think as well. Well, I'm going to hand over now to Derek and to Margaret, who are going to read us a passage from the Bible and also a famous hymn. Over to you, Derek and Margaret.
New Testament reading is from 2 Kings chapter 6, reading from verses 8 to 17. The king of Syria was at war with Israel. He consulted his officers and chose a place to set up his camp. But Elisha sent him word of the king of Israel, warning him not to go near that place because the Syrians were waiting in ambush there. So the king of Israel warned the people who lived in that place, and they were on guard. This happened several times. The Syrian king became greatly upset over this. He called in one of his officers and asked him, "Which one of you is on the side of Israel?" One of them answered, "No one is, your majesty. The prophet Elisha tells the king of Israel what you say even in the privacy of your own room." "Find out where he is," the king ordered, "and I will capture him." When he was told that Elisha was in Dothan, he sent a large force there with horses and chariots. They reached the town at night and surrounded it. Early the next morning, Elisha's servants got up, went out of the house, and saw the Syrian troops with their horses and chariots surrounding the town. He went back to Elisha and exclaimed, "We are doomed, sir. What shall we do?" "Don't be afraid," Elisha answered. "We have more on our side than they have on theirs." Then he prayed, "O Lord, open his eyes and let him see." The Lord answered his prayer, and Elisha's servant looked up and saw the hillside covered with horses and chariots of fire all round Elisha. Thanks be to God for this reading. Amen.
The reading is from the Church Hymnary, edition 3, hymn number 692. Teach me, my God and King, in all things thee to see, and what I do in anything to do it as for thee. A man that looks on glass on it may stay his eye, or if he pleaseth, through it pass, and then the heaven espy. All may of thee partake, nothing can be so mean, which with this tincture, for thy sake, will not grow bright and clean. A servant with this clause makes drudgery divine, who sweeps a room as for thy laws, makes that and the action fine. This is the famous stone that turneth all to gold, for that which God doth touch and own cannot for less be told.
Well, here we are in the Manse Garden, and the first thing I must do now is to thank Margaret and Derek very much for, Margaret, your lovely reading, that famous reading by The Chariots of Fire, and Derek reading that super old hymn, which I'll come back to later. I don't think I have to go very far to from my home to see contrast between good and bad. I mentioned the red squirrel and the fly tipping. Well, my garden here, I think, is very much a mixture of a few successes and lots of things which are not very good. I've got some super tomatoes in there, thanks to the help of many people and advice from people who know much more about gardening than I am. But there's a lot around the garden which needs great improvement as well. Not long ago I read an interesting little thought by someone who had woken up in the middle of the night, switched on the BBC World Service. I think it was some time ago when he'd done this. And first of all, there was some beautiful music, and he got carried away by the lovely music. Then the news came on, and there was news of an RAF bombing raid somewhere, and the announcer was saying that they didn't quite know whether the mission had been successful. Not all the planes had made it back yet, though they were expecting them back. And the military official said, we don't really know quite about and he used the term, the messy realities on the ground. I reckon that life is a lot of a mixture, isn't it, of beautiful music and messy realities, especially in lockdown, I would guess. So I think that's a thought we could bear in mind just now. With life being such a mixture of these messy realities and beauty, I think we can have two options here. We can either just say, well, that's life, and that's how it is, and we can't really change it, or we can do what that George Herbert, that hymn writer, the hymn that Derek read to us, did. He wrote some very profound things in very simple language, and I like simple language. So here's what remember this verse. A man that looks on glass, on it may stay his eye, or if he pleaseth, through it pass, and then the heaven espy. That's a wonderful thing, I think, isn't it? Through the eyes of faith, if we look at the world around us, even the most ordinary things, the tomato in the greenhouse, the cup you're drinking from, whatever it is, you can either just look at it and say, well, that's a nice thing, or we can say that God is behind that. I think that's truly a great thing. When Elisha's servant came rushing in to say, we're surrounded by lots of warring military chariots, all is lost, Elisha said, look, I know that, through the eyes of faith, that there's more on our side than on their side. And look, if you look carefully through the eyes of faith, there are those chariots of fire. And his servant, his morale was raised just like that. Elisha looked further than just the outward signs and went and saw through the eyes of faith in a great national crisis. Well, we, most of the time, especially lockdown, I think, are confronted by very small little things, but we really can espy heaven if we look through the eyes of faith in the simplest and loveliest of things too. What about another verse from our hymn? It said, this is written a long time ago, of course, a servant with this clause makes drudgery divine, who sweeps a room as for thy laws, makes that and the action fine. Well, we might well take issue with the hymn writer by sweeping the room and making that divine and all those mundane tasks. But the idea that we can do anything, however small it is, and just say, for your sake, we'll see God, you, God, our Lord Jesus in this. That's a great thing. And we truly can make something very simple and ordinary into something very special indeed. Well, here we are back at the church, and I think that's a wonderful message that George Herbert and Elisha had for us. You know, sometimes Christian people have been called God's spies because through the eyes of faith, they've been able to see just the love of God through our Lord Jesus in even the simplest things and in the simplest actions. I hope that's helpful for this time. Here's a wee prayer. Our dear Lord, once more we come to you during this national emergency, during lockdown, and although things are easing, we do pray so much for everyone who's still lonely or anxious, everybody of course who's looking after people, everyone in the hospitals, medical centres, care workers, and all those wonderful people who've been bringing supplies to us all over these months. Lord, may it be that we all will be able to look through the eyes of faith and detect you even in the simplest and most ordinary things and see your love at work. And help us, Lord, even for the most normal activities, to do them in your name and then see a touch of heaven in them. Help us to bring your love to the people around us. Be with us all in the whole world this week and always. In your name, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, do have a very good week, and may our Lord bless you very much.